The Telltale Heart by The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, 1843. Though short, this story is a classic in the ghostly and psychological horror genre. It delves into the mind of a murderer who is driven to madness by the sound of his victim's beating heart, a symbol of his overwhelming guilt and paranoia. These stories have become iconic in the ghost story genre, captivating readers with their suspense, psychological depth, and eerie atmospheres. The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe is a chilling tale that explores the darkest corners of the human psyche. It immerses readers in a world of fear, guilt, and obsession, leaving them captivated by its suspenseful narrative and thought-provoking themes. The story follows an unnamed narrator who, plagued by an acute sensitivity to sound, becomes fixated on the old man's vulture-like eye. Driven to madness by his obsession, the narrator meticulously plans and executes the murder of the old man. However, it is not the act of killing that haunts him, but rather the sound of the old man's beating heart that he believes he can hear long after his death. Poe masterfully delves into the mind of the narrator, gradually revealing his descent into madness. The story is narrated in the first person, allowing readers to experience the narrator's thoughts and emotions firsthand. As the narrative unfolds, the narrator's overwhelming guilt and paranoia become palpable, heightening the suspense and creating an eerie atmosphere. The beating heart serves as a powerful symbol of the narrator's guilt. It represents the relentless reminder of his heinous act, a constant presence that torments his conscience. The heart becomes a source of terror for the narrator, its sound growing louder and more overwhelming with each passing moment. It is this sound that ultimately leads to his downfall, as he is driven to confess his crime to the police. Poe's mastery lies in his ability to blend elements of the supernatural with psychological horror. While the story is devoid of traditional ghosts or supernatural beings, it manages to instill a sense of dread and unease in its readers. The narrator's descent into madness and his obsession with the old man's eye create a psychological depth that leaves a lasting impact. The Telltale Heart has become an iconic tale in the ghost story genre, captivating readers with its suspenseful narrative and exploration of the human psyche. Its enduring popularity can be attributed to Poe's skillful storytelling, his ability to create atmospheric tension, and his examination of the darkest aspects of human nature. In conclusion, The Telltale Heart is a short but impactful story that continues to captivate readers to this day. Its exploration of guilt, obsession, and madness, combined with its eerie atmosphere, make it a classic in the ghostly and psychological horror genre. Poe's ability to delve into the depths of the human psyche and create suspenseful narratives has solidified his place as one of the greatest writers of horror and suspense in literary history. Poe's The Telltale Heart manages to instill a sense of dread and unease in its readers through its expertly crafted narrative and the unraveling of the narrator's sanity. As the story progresses, the reader is taken on a journey into the depths of the narrator's disturbed mind, witnessing his descent into madness and his obsession with the old man's eye. One of the most striking elements of the story is Poe's ability to create an atmosphere of tension and suspense. From the very beginning, the reader is immediately drawn into the narrator's world, feeling an impending sense of doom. The heartbeat that the narrator hears, which serves as a constant reminder of his guilt, is masterfully used to heighten the suspense throughout the story. As the heartbeat grows louder and more intense, so does the reader's anxiety, creating a palpable sense of unease. Furthermore, Poe's exploration of the human psyche is what truly sets The Telltale Heart apart. The narrator's obsession with the old man's eye is not simply a plot device, but a reflection of his own inner turmoil. The eye becomes a symbol of the narrator's guilt and his own descent into madness. Through this exploration, Poe delves into the darkest aspects of human nature, forcing the reader to confront their own fears and anxieties. The Telltale Heart has become an iconic tale in the ghost story genre, captivating readers with its suspenseful narrative and psychological depth. Its enduring popularity can be attributed to Poe's skillful storytelling, his ability to create atmospheric tension, and his examination of the human psyche. Even though the story is relatively short, it leaves a lasting impact on the reader, lingering in their minds long after the final page. In conclusion, The Telltale Heart is a short but impactful story that continues to captivate readers to this day. Its exploration of guilt, obsession, and madness, combined with its eerie atmosphere, make it a classic in the ghostly and psychological horror genre. Poe's ability to delve into the depths of the human psyche and create suspenseful narratives has solidified his place as one of the greatest writers of horror and suspense in literary history. Poe's The Telltale Heart delves into the darkest corners of the human mind, forcing readers to confront their own fears and anxieties. The story follows an unnamed narrator who becomes obsessed with the pale blue eye of an old man, eventually succumbing to his madness and committing a heinous act of murder. The narrator's descent into madness is a chilling exploration of the human psyche. As readers, we are forced to question our own sanity and the limits of our own dark impulses. What if we too are capable of such unspeakable acts? The story's power lies in its ability to tap into our deepest fears and expose the fragility of our own sanity. Poe's skillful storytelling and atmospheric tension further intensify the reader's unease. The relentless beating of the old man's heart, echoing in the narrator's mind, becomes a haunting symbol of guilt and a reminder of the inescapable consequences of our actions. The author's use of vivid imagery and meticulous attention to detail creates a sense of claustrophobia, as if we too are trapped in the narrator's tormented mind. The Telltale Heart forces us to confront the darkest aspects of human nature, challenging our perception of what it means to be human. It raises uncomfortable questions about the thin line between sanity and madness, and the extent to which we are capable of justifying our actions. Through the narrator's relentless obsession and subsequent guilt, Poe reminds us that we are all susceptible to the darkness that resides within us. This iconic tale continues to captivate readers because it taps into our universal fears and anxieties. It forces us to confront our own mortality, our own capacity for evil, and the consequences of our actions. By delving into the depths of the human psyche, Poe reminds us that there is a thin veneer of civilization that separates us from our most primal instincts. In conclusion, The Telltale Heart is a masterful exploration of the darkest aspects of human nature. Its enduring popularity can be attributed to Poe's skillful storytelling, his ability to create atmospheric tension, and his examination of the human psyche. By forcing readers to confront their own fears and anxieties, the story leaves a lasting impact, lingering in their minds long after the final page. It is a testament to Poe's genius as a writer, solidifying his place as one of the greatest masters of horror and suspense in literary history. Moreover, The Telltale Heart also serves as a cautionary tale, warning us about the consequences of unchecked guilt and paranoia. The narrator's descent into madness and his inability to escape the haunting presence of the old man's eye demonstrate the destructive power of guilt. Poe skillfully portrays the narrator's deteriorating mental state, allowing readers to witness the unraveling of a mind consumed by its own guilt. As readers, we are compelled to question our own capacity for evil and the lengths we would go to conceal our misdeeds. The story forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that we are all capable of committing heinous acts under the right circumstances. It serves as a chilling reminder that evil can lurk within even the most seemingly ordinary individuals. Furthermore, Poe's atmospheric writing style adds to the enduring appeal of The Telltale Heart. Through his use of vivid imagery and descriptive language, he creates a sense of unease and dread that permeates the entire narrative. The constant repetition of the beating heart, coupled with the narrator's increasingly erratic behavior, creates a palpable tension that keeps readers on the edge of their seats. Poe also delves into the complexities of the human psyche, exploring the fine line between sanity and insanity. The narrator's obsession with the old man's eye and his distorted perception of reality highlight the fragility of the human mind. Poe's exploration of the narrator's psychological state adds an additional layer of depth to the story, making it not only a tale of horror but also a psychological study of a troubled individual. In conclusion, The Telltale Heart continues to captivate readers because it taps into our universal fears and anxieties, reminding us of the darkness that resides within us all. Its examination of the human psyche, its skillful storytelling, and its atmospheric tension make it a masterful exploration of the darkest aspects of human nature. As we grapple with our own mortality, our capacity for evil, and the consequences of our actions. Poe's iconic tale serves as a haunting reminder that the line between good and evil is often blurred, and the consequences of our choices can be far-reaching. The Telltale here. The ghost stories of M.R. James. Various dates. M.R. James is known for his chilling ghost stories, many of which were published in the early 20th century. Stories like "Oh, Whistle" and "I'll Come to You, My Lad" and "A Warning to the Curious" are exemplary of his ability to create a sense of creeping dread and unease. In "Oh, Whistle" and "I'll Come to You, My Lad," M.R. James masterfully weaves a tale of an academic who stumbles upon a seemingly innocuous whistle during his vacation by the coast. Unbeknownst to him, this discovery sets off a chain of events that will leave readers on the edge of their seats. As the protagonist blows into the whistle, a malevolent force is unleashed, haunting his every step. The unease builds slowly, as strange occurrences begin to plague the academic. Shadows lengthen, objects move on their own, and an unseen presence lurks just beyond his field of vision. James expertly builds suspense, allowing the reader's imagination to run wild with the possibilities of what horrors await. Similarly, in "A Warning to the Curious," James paints a picture of a man who becomes obsessed with uncovering an ancient artifact buried in a desolate coastal town. The protagonist's relentless pursuit of the artifact unravels a tale of ancient curses and vengeful spirits. The atmosphere is suffused with a sense of impending doom, as the man's curiosity leads him down a path he may never return from. Throughout his ghost stories, James employs a unique blend of psychological tension and supernatural elements to create an atmosphere of palpable fear. His prose is atmospheric and precise, transporting readers into a world where the line between the living and the dead is blurred. One of the most notable aspects of James' storytelling is his ability to evoke a sense of place. His descriptions of the eerie landscapes and ancient relics serve to heighten the sense of unease. The settings become characters in their own right, adding an extra layer of depth to the narratives. Furthermore, James' characters are often ordinary individuals who find themselves thrust into extraordinary circumstances. They are relatable figures, making their encounters with the supernatural all the more terrifying. Readers are able to place themselves in the shoes of these protagonists, experiencing the mounting dread alongside them. M.R. James' ghost stories continue to captivate readers to this day, as they tap into the universal fear of the unknown. His ability to create an atmosphere of creeping dread and his masterful storytelling have cemented his place as one of the greatest writers of the genre. Whether it is the unearthly whistle or the ancient artifact, James' tales will continue to haunt readers long after the final page is turned. James' ability to evoke a sense of place is truly remarkable. His descriptions of eerie landscapes and ancient relics transport readers into the heart of his stories, immersing them in a world where the supernatural lurks just beyond the veil of reality. These settings become characters in their own right, their presence palpable and unsettling. From the desolate marshes of "Oh, Whistle" and "I'll Come to You, My Lad" to the crumbling halls of "The Haunted Doll's House," James' attention to detail creates an atmosphere of unease. The wind howls through the barren landscape, sending chills down the reader's spine. The ancient artifacts, with their mysterious inscriptions and hidden powers, seem to hold secrets that should never be uncovered. What makes James' stories truly terrifying is the relatability of his characters. They are not heroes or experts in the supernatural. They are ordinary individuals who find themselves caught up in extraordinary circumstances. They could be anyone, which makes their encounters with the unknown all the more unsettling. As readers follow their journey, they cannot help but place themselves in the shoes of these protagonists, experiencing the mounting dread alongside them. James' storytelling is masterful, slowly building tension and suspense until it becomes almost unbearable. He knows that the fear of the unknown is universal, and he taps into that primal instinct with precision. Whether it is the unearthly whistle that haunts the protagonist's dreams or the ancient artifact that brings forth malevolent forces, James' tales linger in the mind long after the final page is turned. Even today, M.R. James' ghost stories continue to captivate readers. His ability to create an atmosphere of creeping dread, combined with his skillful characterization and storytelling, has cemented his place as one of the greatest writers of the genre. His works remain timeless, appealing to our deepest fears and reminding us that the supernatural can be closer than we think. James' ghost stories are not mere tales of horror. They are windows into the human psyche. Through his characters, James explores the fragility of the human mind when confronted with the unknown. He delves into the depths of our fears and exposes our vulnerabilities, making us question the very nature of reality. In Oh, Whistle, and I'll Come to You, My Lad, James introduces us to a rational and skeptical protagonist who dismisses the idea of the supernatural. However, when he unwittingly disturbs an ancient artifact, he is plunged into a world of terror and madness. James masterfully portrays the protagonist's descent into paranoia and his desperate struggle to maintain his sanity. As readers, we are forced to confront our own skepticism and wonder what lies beyond the realm of our understanding. Similarly, in Casting the Runes, James explores the power of curses and the manipulation of fate. The protagonist, an academic scholar, finds himself targeted by a sinister cult, and his rationality is put to the test. James skillfully weaves a web of tension and suspense, making us question whether there are forces at work beyond our comprehension. The story serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that even the most learned among us are not immune to the supernatural. What sets James apart from other writers of the genre is his attention to detail. His meticulous descriptions and vivid imagery create an atmosphere of unease that permeates every page. The settings of his stories, whether it be the desolate English countryside or the dimly lit corridors of an ancient library, become characters in their own right, adding to the sense of foreboding. James' ability to tap into our deepest fears and anxieties is what makes his ghost stories so enduring. He understands that the unknown is a universal fear, and he exploits it with finesse. Whether it is the fear of the dark, the fear of the unseen, or the fear of the supernatural, James captures these emotions and amplifies them to a terrifying degree. As readers, we are drawn into James' world, unable to resist the allure of the unknown. We find ourselves eagerly turning the pages, even as our hearts race and our palms sweat. And when we reach the end, we are left with a lingering sense of unease, knowing that the supernatural is always lurking in the shadows, waiting to be discovered. M.R. James' ghost stories continue to captivate and unsettle readers to this day. His ability to tap into our primal fears and create an atmosphere of creeping dread is unmatched. His works serve as a reminder that the unknown is not something to be taken lightly, but rather something to be approached with caution and respect. In the end, James' ghost stories remind us that there is much more to the world than meets the eye, and that the line between reality and the supernatural is often blurred. James' ability to evoke fear and anticipation is evident in his masterful storytelling and his attention to detail. His descriptions of the eerie settings, the creaking floorboards, and the ominous shadows create a sense of foreboding that lingers long after the story is finished. Each character is haunted by their own personal demons, whether it be a malevolent spirit or a deep-rooted fear from their past. James' characters are relatable, flawed individuals, making their encounters with the supernatural all the more terrifying. One of the reasons James' ghost stories have stood the test of time is his skillful use of ambiguity. He often leaves certain details open to interpretation, allowing readers to fill in the gaps with their own fears and imagination. This approach leaves room for a sense of uncertainty, leaving readers questioning whether what they have just experienced is purely supernatural or if there could be a logical explanation. Furthermore, James' stories are not reliant on explicit gore or jump scares to instill fear. Instead, he relies on the power of suggestion, playing on our deepest fears and forcing us to confront the unknown. It is this psychological element that makes his stories so chilling and enduring. By tapping into our primal fears of the dark and the unseen, James strikes a nerve that resonates with readers on a fundamental level. James' ghost stories also serve as cautionary tales, reminding us of the consequences that can arise from meddling with the supernatural. Whether it be the discovery of an ancient artifact or the exploration of a haunted house, James warns against the dangers of curiosity and the potential consequences of delving too deeply into the unknown. Through his stories, he implores us to approach the supernatural with caution and respect, for the line between reality and the supernatural is often blurry, and the consequences can be dire. In conclusion, M.R. James' ghost stories continue to captivate and unsettle readers because of his ability to tap into our primal fears and create an atmosphere of creeping dread. His stories remind us that the unknown is not something to be taken lightly, but rather something to be approached with caution and respect. With his masterful storytelling and attention to detail,